Hello and welcome back to Blueprint Chronicles. Today I'm doing my November and December wrap up. Now, did I want to have something filmed sometime between Christmas and New Year's to have ready? Yes. Did that happen? No. Am I gonna have time to do all of my end of the year content? Unclear. Some of it might just be on Instagram. Thinking stats specifically. Might not do a stats video this year. We'll see. But for now, we're gonna do my wrap up for the last 2 months of 2025. So starting in November, monthly stats, I read 5 books, no rereads, 3 DNFs. I read 576 pages and listened to 34 hours of audio. The books that I read included 1 fantasy, 1 nonfiction, and 3 romances. 2 of the books I listened to on audio, 3 of them were ebooks. 4 of the books were adult, and I think I didn't put the nonfiction in an age category. My ratings for the month were 1 2-star, 1 4-star, 2 4.5 stars, and 1 5-star. All 5 of the books that I read were novels. Of the 5 authors, 2 of them were completely new to me and 3 of them were repeats, but I was reading for the first time in 2025. And so those 5 books included, first up, Rematch. Actually, hold on. Rematch by Asia Monet. This is her latest release, and it is kind of a companion to the Cartel Element series, which I loved. I did have an archivist, and I rated it 5 stars. We're following Max and Audrey. This is sort of a second chance romance. They were childhood best friends. I think they lived across the street from one another, eventually dated when they got older, had sort of a falling out and are reconnecting years later. Audrey is a doctor and Max is an MMA fighter. His family does have ties to the cartel. It's very light in this book though, or at least not as heavy as it is in Air Flames and the rest of that series, because he doesn't really want to be included, but he is. I really enjoyed this. I love the relationship between the 2 of them. I love that Max was just like, yeah, no, we're getting back together. This is happening. You're stuck with me whether you like it or not. And Audrey tried to resist, but it was literally pointless. Really enjoyed it. If you have not yet read the Cartel Element series and you are a fan of cartel mafia romances, definitely recommend. And it's not required that you read those first, but I would recommend it because some of the characters from that series do pop up here. Next, Jess and I buddy read Told You So by Macy Neely. This is the one that I rated 2 stars, and not because of any of the content. It just was not well written. I don't understand why she didn't have a co-author, or at least it doesn't seem like she did. On the book, there isn't anybody else listed. And so she is literally reading some journal entries from when she was like a teenager. And they're not well structured for a book. We listened to the audio. It was one of the ALCs on Libro. And her story is interesting. Obviously, I'm interested because I do watch Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. But structurally didn't work. Is it interesting to learn more about her and her life and her family and being a part of the church and everything that happened? Absolutely. If you are a fan of the show, if you like Macy as one of the main people on the show, then I would say proceed with caution. Just be prepared to know that she is literally reading journal entries from her teenage self. Also, ton of content warnings in that book. She has had a very traumatic past when it comes to relationships, so a lot of abuse there, so just proceed with caution. Then I DNF Sips of Her by Carmen Lee. This is the 2nd book in the Coffee Shops of Love series. It wasn't bad at all. It's a sapphic romance and I was interested in it, but I had paused it for a second and then I ended up reading something else and just never really cared to go back to it. Also, I wasn't a huge fan of the first book. I liked it, but there were some pacing issues. The main character was annoying, whatever. So would recommend if you're a fan of Carmen Lee. I know she has some other books that are more popular. I just didn't really care for it. Then Alana and I buddy read Our Vicious Oaths by Annie Davenport. She and I also buddy read The Blood Trials together. And so we were interested in her new book because we like her writing. The Blood Gift duology should have at the very least been a trilogy, and it felt unfinished and rushed. And so we were like, all right, let's see how this goes. Unfortunately, this is a standalone, and it's a good standalone. I rated it 4.5 stars. But I really would like for her to do a series, like minimum of a trilogy. But in this, we are following Khadijah, who is the heir to the Ether throne, and she is betrothed to some asshole. On the day of her wedding, shit goes very, very left. I'm not even gonna say anything more than that. I don't think you need to know anything more than that regarding the synopsis. For setup though, this is a romantasy, which is not something that I enjoy. We know how I feel about romantasy. And it involves various Fae kingdoms, and I really enjoyed the way that she wrote Black Fae. And there are certain elements that just like culturally were amazing. Like I love that the love interest and his entire guard, like they wear grills as part of like their celebratory and like battle gear. There were just little aspects like that that I really, really loved. It is very spicy. It is an adult romance. Everyone loves the sex scenes. Alana, Brie, Deshauna, all of them said were good. I personally think that Malachi talks too fucking much. That's just my personal opinion. Otherwise, it was very good. It is a little predictable because you can figure out like where things are going and what's gonna happen, but it was a good time. I actually did really enjoy it. It is a good blend of romance and fantasy too, I think. And it is sort of like enemies to lovers because they have to strike a deal and like they actually do dislike each other at first. So I would definitely recommend. I really enjoyed it. Then I read Found Forever by Lady Marie. This is the second book in the Sisters in Serendipity series, and I also rated this one 4.5 stars. I really love the relationship between Alonzo and Lizzie in this. Lizzie was a single mom when they met. Alonzo has fully stepped in to be Christian's father. They have formed a very tight-knit family unit. However, Christian's biological father has decided that he wants to pop up. Mind you, he abandoned them in the hospital when that baby was 48 hours old. Yeah, so dealing with all of that. But the relationship, the family unit, all of that, I really, really, really enjoyed. Her baby daddy's gonna be on the next episode of characters I wanna square up with though. Then I read Vindicated by Sharon C. Cooper. So this is the first book in the Atlanta's Finest series. This is a security firm. A lot of the people that work there are like retired military or law enforcement, whatever. The reason that I wanted to read this is because during a Stuff Your Kindle day, probably like 2 years ago, I got one of the books in the series not realizing that it was book 5. And I did try a chapter and I really enjoyed the first 2 chapters, and one of the characters in that was ex-CIA. So went back to the first one. I enjoyed it, rated it 4 stars. I think I will try to continue the series. I listened to the audio on Hoopla, and now I no longer have access to Hoopla, so I gotta figure that out. If you know of any libraries that let you get a library card if you don't live in that state and they use Hoopla, let me know. But I definitely do want to continue because I do want to get to book 5 because that's why I started it in the first place. But also this one's actually pretty good. I really liked it. So if you're a fan of like romantic suspense, I would recommend this series so far, at least the first one. So I'm looking forward to getting into the rest of the books. Then IGNF's Love on the Edge. This is another one that I got from a Stuff Your Kindle day. I did a try chapter. I was gonna keep reading it, but as I kept reading it, I got bored. That's it. In this one, I guess I should talk about what Vindicated is about. We're following someone who's an ex-cop and he is dating a stunt woman. Her father is in the entertainment industry and has some enemies. There's a shooting that takes place and she happened to be there. And so now the ex-cop has to be her bodyguard, but there's also, you know, they're interested in each other, so bodyguard romance, which isn't a huge draw for me, but I know that's a thing that people love, so there's that. Then Love on the Edge, also a bodyguard romance actually, and yeah, seems fine. They're like hiding out in some random city in like fucking Maine or some shit, because someone tried to murder her. She's being stalked, and I think the stalker might now believe that she's dead. I didn't get that far, but the prologue is what really pulled me in. The prologue was very, very interesting. but then we haven't really seen much more of what happened there just yet, and I don't feel like waiting. And lastly, in November, I DNF'd Sweet Control by Lady Marie. This is the 4th book in the Sugared and Spiced series. This is a series of short novellas about sugar babies who use this like high-end service to find their glucose guardians, as Robin says. The only reason that I read this one is because there was something that happened at the end of book 3 following a different couple that I knew was going to impact the character in this one. The main character in this one, I fucking hate. So I didn't really give a fuck about his romance. I just wanted to see the aftermath of book 3. Once I got to that, cut it off. Don't care about this man at all. So if you're interested in the series, if you've read Sugar Sugar, continue the series. Absolutely, it is worth it. I just personally don't like the last person, so I didn't give a damn. I believe this is the final book in the series. So as far as my series checking goes, I will be marking this as complete. Now for my stats. In December, I read 6 books, had 1 DNF, read 695 pages, and listened to 12 hours of audio. I read 1 fantasy and 5 romances. I really leaned into holiday romances in December. I listened to 2 audiobooks and read 4 ebooks. 5 of the books that I read were adult and 1 was YA. My ratings for the month were 1 2.75 star, 1 3.5 star, 2 3.75 stars, 1 4 star, and 1 4.75 star. 2 of the books that I read were novels, 4 of them were novellas, and only 1 author I was reading for the first time in 2025, but it was a repeat author. So the first book that I read in December was Ember's Flame by Phoenix Collins. I had an arc of this. I rated it 4 stars. This is a prequel novella to the Men of Nirvana series, and I enjoyed it. It's cute. It's set in Canada. It's a winter wedding, and she ends up having what is supposed to be a one-night stand with her best friend, who is the bride best friend's father-in-law. So she thinks it's just a one-time thing, and then she gets to show up for wedding activities, and surprise. I enjoyed it. Age gap, obviously. Very wintry vibes. They go on like an actual sleigh ride. That's super cute. I love this series, so highly recommend if you have not read it. The first book is Stroke of Luck. I've been talking about the book for like 2-3 years now. So if I've been saying that and you're like, oh, I should read it, and then you haven't read it, what are you doing? Then I DNF'd The Friendship Contract. This was another book that I got from Stuff Your Kindle Day. We have 2 best friends who have been fighting their feelings for each other for like forever. It's been like 10 years or some shit. She went through a really bad breakup. He went to pick her up after all the things went down. They also work together. They own like a law firm, I think, and there's also some things happening with like someone who was an employee who is now engaged to her ex. It got messy real quick. And then they have to go to a destination wedding. Her brother is getting married, I think in Hawaii. And so obviously she was gonna go with her ex, and that didn't happen. So best friend ends up going with her, and I didn't get far enough to see how it turned out, but I'm sure you can guess. I was bored and I just didn't care. Then I read Santa Baby by Phoenix Collins. I rated this one 3.75 stars. This is a quick, steamy holiday novella. Your work crush shows up to the holiday party dressed as Santa, and then you accidentally get locked in an office together. That's all you need to know. Then I read Not in the Christmas Plan by Etta Easton. I rated this 4.75 stars. Now, mind you, Kiss Countdown, my favorite book of 2024. I had an arc of book 2, The Love Simulation, and I DNF'd it, and I was devastated. This book reminds me why I loved The Kiss Countdown. This is what I love from Etta Easton. The characters had chemistry. They don't they do like each other. They don't want to like each other. One of them doesn't want to like the other one. And now they're stuck together. It's first proximity. It's very Christmassy. It gives you all the vibes, all the holiday activities. They're shopping for a Christmas tree. They're decorating the house. They're watching the movies, listening to the music, all of it. Loved it so much. This was what I needed. This has restored my faith in Etta Easton. Still don't know what happened at the end of the love simulation, but it doesn't matter. This definitely made up for it. Highly recommend if you're also a fan of Etta Easton's writing, especially The Kiss Countdown. I really love this. Then Robin, Alana, and I buddy read I, Medusa by Ayana Gray. This is obviously a Medusa retelling. As someone who does not know or never learned Greek mythology, I know very little about the original lore of Medusa. So Robin and Alana kind of gave me a little background information on that. I rated this book 2.75 stars. And it's YA. Medusa is 17. And it does follow sort of the outline of the original mythology. The thing is, it's really hard. I know that she is young. She's very sheltered. There's a lot that she doesn't know. But even when people warn her about things, she just doesn't fucking listen. And so she keeps finding herself in situations where it's just like, didn't you listen to your sister when she told you this? Didn't you listen to your best friend when she told you this? It's like, girl, please, please. And apparently she had made a comparison between Aaliyah and that man. The post got taken down. This was like on Instagram when she was first promoting it. That's a choice. That's a choice. Would I recommend this? No, not really. It was very frustrating to read for obvious reasons, but then also the main character, she's kind of too dumb to live, honestly, which is whatever. Love the relationship between her and her sisters though. I will say that. Proceed with caution if you pick this one up. Then I read the Slay the Night series by Lady Marie, which includes a full novel with 3 short stories about 3 different couples and a prequel novella about how one of those couples gets together. I rated the prequel After Tonight 3.75 stars, and I rated Slay the Night 3.5 stars. Slay the Night was a little messy, but you could also tell like where it was going. Like you knew what was gonna happen, which, all right, fine. It was fine. If you're looking for another holiday romance, they're snowed in at a cabin. So if that's your vibe, would definitely recommend. But those are all of the books that I read in November and December. This video is already long, so I'm going to stop talking. Let me know what you read in the last few months of the year. If you had any 5-star reads, luckily I did, thank God. I'm hoping to get some end of the year, beginning of the year content out, but we'll see what happens. But let me know how your last couple of months of 2025 were, what your last read of 2025 was. Hopefully it was a good one. Otherwise, that's all I have for you today, and I'll see you in the next video.